gentlemen, welcome to the Tea and Crystals podcast. I am T.
And I'm Crystal.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we are so happy to have you all back with us for another illustrious episode of this here podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some good things to get into today. A couple of things to review at the top of the episode, because I do have a few things to say to you all's reaction from last week's episode, but we'll get into that. But before we do, y'all know how I got to start the show. Crystal, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a busy week for me, actually. I was on a lot this week versus like last 2 weeks. I had an interesting week. So I got to do this almost like this little side assignment for the film where I basically was just helping out with some cast interviews and stuff like that. And I was booked for one day on Monday and it went great. It was very, very smooth. Really enjoyed it. Cast member was super nice. And yeah, it was a pretty easy day. And then the lady that was in charge of it, she was like, I'm going to try to bring you in again sometime this week. I was like, okay, no problem. So I ended up I was booked for her for Thursday. So Wednesday evening we were filming and I saw her and I was like, hey, what time do you want me to come in? Blah, blah, yada, yada. And she was like, she gave me a time. She was like, have you seen where we're going to do the interview? I was like, no, I haven't seen it yet. She was like, okay, why don't you come upstairs and I'll show you. So you know where everything is. I was like, okay. So we go upstairs and we go into the room. It's all set up. It looks really nice. The two people that I had worked with that were filming it were there. And the main guy, they were like, she brings me in. She's like, she's just coming to say hi and see the space. And they're like, okay, hey, how are you doing? And then she lets them know, she's like, okay, so I'm going to have her come in at this time, because I don't want her coming in too early. Like there's no point. And the guy kind of like blows up a little bit. Like, he's like, I don't understand why we need someone dedicated, like essentially a PA. He's like, I don't understand why we need a PA. We've never needed to have a PA. Like, this is ridiculous kind of type thing. And, the woman, she's like, don't do that. Don't do that in front of her, embarrass her. And he like looks at me, he's like, I mean, no offense. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, yeah, no offense taken. Like, sir, maybe you should have brought this up earlier, and it sounded like they had this discussion before, but like if you really felt this strongly about it, like I don't understand why you wouldn't have continued to push to be like, no, we don't need this. I totally understand where he was coming from. I understand what he was saying. It was just the way he went about it, and the fact that I was unfortunately privy to all that. I was like I was literally like taking small steps back to get out of the room as they're having this argument. Yes, Crystal. Like I felt so awkward. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here for this. Like, I get what he's saying. I'm not mad at what he's saying, but I am mad that he's choosing now, the night before, to say it because they're the ones who are paying me. It's not like production. It's a completely separate thing. So I had essentially turned down work for the next day with the production because I was booked with them. And so he was like, I'm calling the people that he needed to talk to. He's like, I'm calling them. And he leaves. And she looks at me. She was like, that he's making a very big mistake. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, you just let me know if I'm working tomorrow. Just text me. And she's like, okay, like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's not your fault. I appreciate you going to bat for me. Like, thank you. I was like, just let me know. So we ultimately ended up working out where I did come in. But it was just very awkward because we had such a good time on Monday. So to come in and see them on Thursday was so awkward. Like, we kept meeting each other in the hallways and he would just be like, and I'd be like,
yeah.
Shouldn't
be here, I guess.
I shouldn't be here, I guess. You don't want me. So it was terrible. The interviews itself was fine and everything like that, and the cast members were great, but yeah, that little interaction, I was just like, I don't know what to do.
Hell no, sir. Why would you say that in front of me? Like I'm not a human being. Right. You don't need that. Why did you bring that here?
Rat ear, right, exactly. And she was like, she was like, you kept trying to say, like, it's not a big deal. And she was like, it is a big deal for her because you booked her. So by essentially firing her, she's not supposed to get paid tomorrow. And wasn't seeing it that way. But everything worked out. I did the thing. I got to meet personally some of the cast members, talk with them one-on-one, and ultimately it was good. It was fun. It was nice.
The internet has really ruined me, Crystal, because when you say it did the thing, all I can think of is Angela Bassett did the thing. All I can think of.
I'm trying to be vague.
Oh my God. This is the only thing I can think of now. That lady has ruined it. My wife is over there getting down laughing because that's one of our favorite memes. Oh, okay. Well, I am glad that you did get to do your job, even though that man was trying hard.
He was trying real hard, but I did. It worked out, and the rest of the week went by pretty smooth. I'm not gonna lie, I'm running on fumes at this moment because we didn't stop filming. I didn't get home until 3:30 this morning because we filmed into the night, and we were filming in Hopewell. So it was like a good hour. A ways 15. Out. Yeah. So I got home at like 3:30 and I was out. Feet was killing me. Well,
I'm glad it was a good week though. I'm glad that you was on there, more than you have been. So it's a good sign, especially at this point.
Right.
That's a good sign. You know what I'm saying? but we'll talk more on the post-show program.
Yes.
Before we go into what I got for you today, Crystal, I just do want to quickly address the backlash and the canceling that I'm facing from last week's episode. I'm just kidding. It ain't that bad, but I saw the comment, Miss Vanessa, whoever you are out there on the Spotify, who said that my response to the story about, the man or the woman getting sterilized was a hint at my what did she call it, Crystal? Fragile masculinity. Yeah. Fragile masculinity. I just want to let you know, Vanessa, that you should continue listening to the episodes because there will be an episode coming up. Don't know when it's coming up, but Crystal and I talked in the pre-show meeting, and we do have it on the table for an episode where we will have a little bit of a panel, I would say, to bring back up this discussion and to hash it out and to hear everyone's point of views. And I thought I articulated myself well the first time around, but I feel like some things got lost in emotion there. And I don't think that what I was saying, because at the end of the story, you and I agreed,
Yeah.
It was just our interpretation of the
different
situation
scenarios.
Generally,
was
the difference, and I don't think people are getting the nuance. So I want to bring the conversation back to have the nuance and to have it in more general conversation.
Yeah, because I think when it came to the story, we were for the most part in agreement. I think generalization is where we differ in our opinions. And I will say this about the story aspect of it. I think even the original poster, she mentioned that she had never even thought of her husband getting the sterilization until the other people had brought it up. It sounds to me what really triggered her. It wasn't that these people had brought up this solution. She was like, oh, okay. I think it was her husband's reaction by just immediately shutting it down, saying absolutely not, no way. And then continually to try to force or encourage her to get it done instead. I think his reaction is what put her on the back burner, and probably a lot of women on the back burner when your partner isn't even willing to discuss, isn't willing to articulate their point of view, isn't willing to go back and forth with you. Because if you remember in the beginning of the story, she said, even when they were like, oh, well, while we have you open, do you want us to just do that? Even then she was hesitant to do it, even though she knew she couldn't have any more kids, or she shouldn't be having any more kids because she wouldn't be able to carry them full terms. She was even hesitant and worried and scared about getting it, but they continued to discuss it and ultimately decided for her to do it. The fact that she wasn't being given that same opportunity to discuss this, I think, is what triggered her, and probably triggered a lot of women too, where it was just that immediate, like, no, like, me? I'm not doing that. You should do that. I think that was the big trigger.
And I think that's that in that story, that's where we agreed, where, you know, he shouldn't be pressuring her to get sterilized, period. Like, but I think where the conversation is getting muddy is the conversation about women being the default for making that happen, you know, for making sure that no more kids are brought into the world, that men get to stay intact, quote unquote, and women have to carry the burden of that. But there are a lot of nuances in that conversation that we really have to make space for and have, because it's a lot more complex than the conversation that we even had.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what it boils down to is being dismissed. Like, nobody wants to be dismissed.
Yeah.
For me personally, I don't see anything wrong with the husband immediately being like, no. On that point, I don't see nothing wrong with that, because just like it's a woman's body, a woman's choice, it's a man's body and a man's choice, you know?
Right.
What I do find a problem with is if he assumed that she should be the one to do it for them. That is a problem. I do see a problem with that. And then pressuring her to go through with it, even though y'all did make an agreement. But things changed, the situation changed. So, you know, you feel a different type of way about it. And at the end of the day, girl, it's your body. You get to choose.
Yeah.
So, but we ain't finna get back into it. We're going to have that conversation again, and we're going to go through all these things, because I really want to have a thorough, intelligent conversation about it with us and with the audience, especially. I really, because it was a lot of emotion out there this week, Crystal. A lot of emotion, a lot of response.
My week was great.
Well, you know, me personally, I can't lie, I didn't get no hate or anything. You know, you know, it's some comments and stuff there, but generally for the conversation as a whole, it was like 95% this demographic and 99% this response. And I can see it for that specific story, why that is. But I think once we open it up more generally, I think there is more of a middle ground that needs to be discussed. But we'll get there when we get there. Other than that, now that we've gotten that out the way, Crystal, would you like to answer a few would you rathers?
I would love to.
If y'all have never seen an episode of this podcast before, or not been with us while we have played Would You Rather is a game where I'm going to ask Crystal a series of Would You Rather questions, and they are going to get more intense and more difficult as we go along. We get to watch Crystal squirm in her chair together. Doesn't that sound fun? I know it sounds fun for me. Crystal, are you ready for the first Would You Rather?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. I have 5 for you today.
Okay.
And I do want to say up front before we get started, there was one that I chose for the last one that my wife vetoed. She said, that's too much. That's too much. And I was like, really? And then I read it again and I was like, really? And then I read it again and I was like, girl, I guess you're right. Okay, well. And so I got rid of it. But it may make its way around the river bend one day. One day when it may be a Tea and Crystal After Dark question.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So the first one is, would you rather lose the ability to use GPS or lose the ability to use a credit card? This affects your everyday life.
Credit card. I think my life would be a lot simpler if I just dealt with cash, you know? Like with the credit card, I feel like with credit card, you just get in more trouble, you know, with interest rates and late fees and overdrafts and all that. If I just always had it in cash, then it's like, if I have it, I have it. And if I don't have it, I don't have it.
You just don't have it.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. And they didn't say anything about debit cards. So I think you have the choice of a debit card.
I was about to say, there's other ways out there. I mean, you know, prepaid stuff too, you know.
Prepaid. Yeah. Load your card up. You remember that back in the day when you was a teenager and you had to load your card up and stuff? What was the rush cards?
My card.
Back in the day.
My Visa.
They said them rush cards. I'm not going to say that. I don't want to get sued. But they said them rush cards was a, you know. Damn.
So yeah, I mean, my dad had kind of pretty much, we traveled a lot when we were kids, me and my brother, with my mom and my dad. And a lot of times when my mom was overseas, you know, I would help my dad navigate because Justin always fell asleep. So I was able to like kind of learn how to like read the maps and all this stuff because he had that big, thick atlas, like that was like cross country.
Fold out.
Yeah. It wasn't even fold out. Like it was laminated, like it was a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I feel like I would be okay with the GPS, but I think the safer and better option would be the credit card.
Shout out to like physical maps. Like, Crystal, we are old enough to remember taking physical maps on road trips and actually using them. If I do to my own horn, I am very good at directions and reading a map because of that. Like I used to do it when I was a kid when we used to take trips and stuff. So I thought it was so interesting. And then the invention of MapQuest. You remember MapQuest?
I remember MapQuest.
Printing out the directions.
Mom would go, you print out that MapQuest directions. Yeah, Ma, I got it. Be in the front to be like, okay, at this intersection, turn right. And
then, you know, it back in the day, you know, my mom, I think was the first in our family to get a like GPS and to put it in a car, hook it to the cigarette thing to power it up, whatever. And then you had people in the family asking, hey, we about to go on the trip. Can we borrow your GPS? Like, you know, because only like 1 or 2 people in the family had one because them hoes were high back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Now they just built into everything.
Everybody and now me and my mom will go to DC and be like, it's not speaking. Why is it not? I can't follow it because it doesn't speak.
Don't they be getting on your nerves?
So much.
Google Maps, why do y'all do that? Why y'all be turning off my speak function randomly? Like, why y'all be doing that? Y'all be pissing me off anyway. On to the next one. We old. Would you rather be able to predict the actions of others or be able to influence the actions of others?
Ooh.
Predict or influence? Which one?
Yeah.
It's a difficult one.
It is, because it's like predicting I probably more predicting than influencing. I don't know if I would feel like any of my connections would be all that genuine, and if I'm the one who's influencing them, because on some level, then it's always my opinion of situations.
Yeah.
For instance, me and you differ on a topic, but if I could influence you and suddenly you're like, well, maybe you're right. It's not really your opinion anymore.
Slippery slope.
Yeah. So it would be disingenuous. Whereas if I'm predicting I feel like some of us kind of have that intuition already. You know, you get a vibe from a person, you get a feeling from a person where you're just like, I don't think I'm gonna like this person. I feel like that's very similar. So I'm gonna say I'd rather be able to predict than influence.
What they're gonna do? Okay, I like that. Would you rather wake up to find all of your teeth have been replaced by sharp fangs, or your hands with claws?
Oh, hands with claws.
And you know what? I'm with you.
Hands
I'm
with
with you, because
claws.
sometimes you just need that. A bitch
Exactly.
real quick. You know what I'm saying?
You know, a man come up to you and grab you.
Ooh, that's right. Built-in self-defense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I know that's right. Because who finna be chewing with them fangs?
Honestly.
Who finna be doing that? Poking
Watch
myself
me-
in the lips and the cheeks
I know,
and shit.
exactly. Having little slits on my lips and then it's just a permanent paper cut there.
Sound like hell on earth.
Exactly.
All right. Now we finna get into the shit, y'all. And this Crystal, I'm listening very carefully for your answer on this one. Okay, here we go. Would you rather shoot your friend to death and become immortal, or have your friend shoot you to death and then become immortal? You better answer carefully.
Is this a friend, or is this like a frenemy?
No, this is a friend. Thank you for being a friend.
It's not a best friend.
Travel around the world and back again. Come on.
It's not a best friend, though.
It don't make a difference. This is somebody that you know, someone you have had experiences with for multiple years.
Yeah, but if, you know.
Which one you doing? And I'm not trying to influence you.
I was about to say, this feels very, very influenced.
This ain't me. This ain't me. This is just about your character.
Mm-hmm.
I know which way I'm going. Come on, Kristen.
Oh no, I don't know.
What you want?
Because it's
what
like,
you want to do?
You know, I want morally, I want to be like, oh, I would let them shoot me so they are immortal, but then I'm dead. Like,
exactly.
There's nothing for me to experience. So then it's like, well, I'd rather shoot them so I can live. But then it's like, but depending on the friend, like, is this just, you know, someone I casually hang out with, maybe someone I worked with? Loved all you ladies that I worked with, but
y'all finna catch a hot one.
I was about to say, just because they didn't specify best, I don't think I could do it to one of my best friends. I think it would. I don't think I could do that. So just for the fact that you just said friends, I'm gonna say I'm gonna shoot them to death.
and you know what? I spared you. Because I started to change it to best friend. I had typed it out and everything, and then I was like, "Nah, I ain't gonna do that to her. That's a little unfair."
Yeah,
that's a little unfair.
I was about to say, if it was best friend, I think I would have, because my best friends, they're very much family to me, and I don't think I could ever try to really hurt my family.
Yeah, I'm with you. But if it's a friend,
I'm sorry. I you know, I don't. Forever. I'm an introvert, so I'm not. You know, I'm okay with not having a lot of friends. It's fine.
That was dark. Bitch, we said one friend. Like, you ain't gotta kill all your friends.
It's like every 100 years. Every 100 years, you have to kill one more to get another 100 years.
Damn. Not you breeding.
It's a new group every 100 years. That's fine.
Oh my God. She's going to invite you every 100 years. She's just going to have a special dinner where she invites her friends. And she's like, by the end of the night,
oh my God,
one of you will be dead.
That's a movie right there.
Oh my God, Crystal. All right, shh. We can't say too much.
We can't say too much. We can't say no more.
Yup.
A year from now, we're going to be like, this trailer looks familiar.
Our motherfucking movie. As long as they give us a producer's credit, girl, you can have it. Okay?
Do all the work.
Residuals. Exactly. You fundraise. Do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather every time you go to the restroom poop out a watermelon or pee out a golf ball?
A golf ball?
A golf ball?
Yeah, a watermelon compared to a golf ball?
But we got to think about the holes.
Oh.
We got to think about the holes. Yeah, watermelon is kind of ridiculous.
Even a small watermelon, I'm just like, I mean, you as a guy, you're telling me you choose the watermelon?
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Right? He's like,
because oh my God, I don't know. It's hard.
I'm gonna go with the golf ball. That's gonna split you in half. I mean, I know. Either way. I know it's still a small area, but like the item is proportionally smaller. The golf ball is proportionally smaller than the watermelon.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with golf.
You know what? Some of y'all freaky ass frogs out there, some of y'all men, y'all might like the golf ball. We've all seen it. We all seen it.
I thought it was going to be the other way. Some of y'all, you'd be like, ooh, watermelon.
Hell no. That's ridiculous. If you want a watermelon up your ass, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. It's some other stuff going on there that you need to talk to with a certified professional. Speaking of, I sponsored today. I'm waiting for the day that I can do that, and it's true.
I know. I'm waiting for the day where we can be like, this episode is sponsored by.
Oh, we got the voices for it too. This episode sponsored by. Oh, your turn.
No. I don't want to give him too much of a preview.
And you know what? There it is. All right, Crystal, you up to bat, girl. What you got for us today?
You know what? Dealer's choice. Would you like to hear the petty revenge first or the am I the asshole first?
Let's do the petty revenge.
Okay. So this is petty revenge. And this says, my grandpa's final petty revenge beyond the grave. My grandparents had 5 children and 12 grandchildren. I'm the oldest grandchild. All of their children settled down within 10 miles of their house. Growing up, we did everything as a whole family. My dad raised beef, cattle, and pork. My grandma had a garden and she would feed the entire family from. The women would get together at grandma's house and we would can all the fruits and vegetables and meat the family would need. Then she would distribute it out to each individual family. She would have my grandpa carry all of the canned goods she was keeping to their basement. My grandpa absolutely hated green beans. He would ask grandma not to can so many for them because he didn't want to eat them, but she didn't listen to him. But he dutifully carried them to the basement. My grandpa died in July of 2000. We had just celebrated his 100th birthday. I still miss him. My grandma died in March of 2011. When we were cleaning out the basement, because a lot of us were storing stuff there, we kept finding random jars of green beans. Then we started finding crates of green beans under shelves. There were about 6 of us cleaning out the basement, and by the time we were done, we found about 2,000 jars of green beans. We had the jars stood up in the center of the big room. We were just standing there looking at it, wondering why we found so many green beans. Then I started giggling. My aunt wanted to know what was so funny, and I said, Grandpa did this. She said, why do you think that? I said, because he hated green beans, so he hid them so he wouldn't have to eat them. That made everyone laugh. What do we do with them now, I asked? The jars were dated from 1982 to 2000, and it was 2011 at the time.
Damn. Shout out to Grandpa. Number one for putting his foot down. He was like, bitch, ain't no way. They just going missing at this point. You know, why he didn't, when she was off at the salon or something, put them in the back of the truck and take them shits down to the homeless shelter or something, get somebody them green beans, Grandpa.
Or even just bury them,
ahead.
like let them
no
rebury them in the yard.
I mean, y'all growing them, somebody might as well eat them. You know what I'm saying? Bring them down to me. I put a little pork shoulder or something in them, stir them hoes up.
I like green beans.
With a little chicken broth. I'm hungry. Here we go. But number 2, I was doing quick maths while you was reading off them ages. I said, okay, he died in 2000 at 100. She died in 2011. 11 years later, Grandpa had him a tenderoni because ain't no way in the world she lived to 111.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I want to say my great grandma, she was young when she was married and was having kids. That's how it was back then.
And her man was older.
And her man was older, yes.
Yeah. So, I guess that is true. Was that common back in the day? Because I think it was very common. My grandparents, it was only like 2 years, I think.
No, I want to say with my grandparents, it was a significant. It was a difference. Yeah, and it was
back in the day.
It was common. I mean, I'm talking like 10 plus years common. It was very common and girls being as young as like, young teenagers, 14, 15 years old, getting married and starting to have kids. Mm-hmm.
Oh, y'all was some freaky frogs back in the day. What the fuck? You marrying a 13, 14, 15-year-old at your big age, sir? You are 27 years old. What do you want with this little girl?
Right.
That's crazy.
Yes. So I think it was pretty common. I wasn't like when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's what they did.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Grandpa. That is hilarious that he hid all them shits like.
He dutifully brought down. He did what he was supposed to. He was just asked to bring it down. He didn't say where he was going to put it. Mm-hmm.
That is a real man.
I'm just trying to think of him hiding
this.
How big was his basement? Like, what all stuff was in there that you're like, okay, now I'm going to hide them here.
And then all the years, like, here. When you do spring cleaning and stuff, that's damn near 30 years.
Yeah.
That y'all had that shit just under the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
How did y'all not clean that out and discover them before then?
But I remember going to my grandma's house before she moved here with us. And I remember going to my Nana's house, and every time we went down to the base, I mean, there was just stuff in there. We always left with more stuff than we came with. And my mom, my poor mom, was always being given stuff. She was like, Ma, I don't need all this. And she's like, just take it. Like, that was her spring cleaning. Just giving it to my mother.
Yeah. Take this shit. I don't need it no more. Yeah. Get it out of my house. I'm not going to the dump. Yeah, you can have it.
You do it. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, shout out to Grandpa. You ready for the next story?
Yes.
I'm still giggling off that last story because I can just see, like, I know what it feels like. Something you really don't want to do.
Yeah.
And you be like, just do this shit so she shut up. Like, I'm saying. That man suffered in silence for all them years. Lord, I know when he got to the gates, Peter was like, my brother, come on in. You have been a dutiful servant. Come on in the gates. We got a beer keg hooked up. We have banned green beans in your section of heaven, sir. You don't even gotta worry about
like, nothing.
We got you. Matter of fact, here is a I hate green beans shirt, hat. We have merch, a whole table of merch that you can just take for free. You don't even have to pay for it.
Mm-mm.
I am weak. Okay. So I have a story by way of the subreddit r/am I the asshole, and it is entitled, Am I the Asshole for Abandoning My Parents at an Island in the Caribbean so I could get back to our cruise in time? Yeah. And a little warning. This one is written a little weird. Like, I feel like younger kids now don't use any type of punctuation other than a period. They don't know anything about a colon, semicolon, dash, comma. Like, when I say there is literally not a single comma in this story, it's just staccato sentences. And I'm really curious if that's like just how the kids write now.
I mean, if you think about it, because I'm someone who, if I don't use something continuously, I data dump it. So I will, if I'm learning something, I'll learn it, I'll memorize it, I'll take the test, and then immediately forget about it because I'm not going to use it again. So if kids nowadays, they're not using this stuff because they're too busy texting, and in texting, it's not uncommon not to use anything like that.
Yeah. So they don't know
I can
how.
see that happening. Yeah.
Oh, Crystal will tell you, I text like I'm typing the email. Like I'm using a lot of punctuation and stuff. Like it's, Anyway, so the story goes a little something like this. I graduated from high school back in December. As a gift, my parents got me a cruise. It was also for my 18th birthday. It was also a family vacation. We usually stay at an all-inclusive resort, but I always wanted to go on a cruise. I told my parents it was different and that if we went on excursions, we would have to follow the schedule no matter what. Well, it was a week-long cruise and they would not head back to the ship. I read that wrong. I've read it like 3 times and I always read heed. Because I want to say they didn't heed my call.
Yeah.
Every time. Okay, let me read that again for the edit. Well, it was a week-long cruise and they did not head back to the ship when I said it was time to go. They were busy shopping and bargaining with the locals. I finally said I was heading back to the ship. My mom waved me off. They missed the departure by a lot, like 45 minutes. They got a hold of me through WhatsApp. They wanted to know why I didn't get the boat to wait for them. I wanted to scream that they were not going to inconvenience 3,998 people because 2 could not understand what a schedule was. They ended up having to fly to the next port from where we were, and it was expensive. They were pissed at me for leaving them behind. I don't know what I was supposed to do. They literally told me that they knew what they were doing. I wish I had never asked for this. They are making me miserable because I left without them. Am I the asshole?
No, absolutely not. Especially because I don't know why these people think. I don't understand why people don't do their research when it comes to new experiences. I don't, so they understand what to expect. But if you've never been on a cruise, there are multiple reviews, videos, TikTok stuff, all that stuff out there that prove a ship is never going to wait for you. It has a schedule. It tells you when you're going to come into port and when you're going to leave. It tells you when you can be debarked and when you have to be back on. If you do not abide by that schedule, they're leaving. Even if OP had gone to the captain, even if she had been able to get a hold of the captain and been like, hey, my family members, they're 45 minutes out, they would have been like, we're leaving. Let them know. We're going. Yeah. There was nothing she could have done other than getting off the boat herself, which would have been more expensive because now all 3 of you would have had to get a ticket. So OP did everything right. And she told them, she was like, hey, I'm going back to the boat, and got waved off for it. Ma'am, like, they're mad at you, but they're upset because they know they're the dumb ones, the older and the dumb ones, because you did the smart thing. And, at some, I want to say they had to learn this lesson, but I'm getting the feeling that this is not a lesson for them. Like they still think, they can go on their schedule. But
and they are that vapid where they just are like, oh, girl, the ship, that big ass shit that look like a skyscraper on the water, it's gonna wait for us.
It's gonna wait for us.
Other people, they have to wait for everybody, right?
No,
it's not like we're on a tight schedule here, Like, are you crazy?
You only paid for a certain amount of time. You don't get to add time to that. Like,
exactly.
You only get your scheduled allotted time.
This is not a all you can trip cruise. Right. Like, get your ass on this boat,
right,
and get this week-old salmon in the back. Like, this salmon from the last cruise. Come on, we got a quarter to make. Get in here. Speaking of which, quick sidebar, Crystal. Next time you come back here, I have to take you, because last night, went out with some friends. We went to this sushi place. Now, we were planning on going somewhere else, but we decided on the sushi place the day of. And I was reading the menu, and I saw that they had, all you can eat menu. I thought it was all you can eat sushi. So immediately when you think all you can eat sushi, food poisoning. Or at least I do. So I was like, but it seemed to be really popular place. Like it's a lot of big cities here. So I was like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this. Number one, chain. Number two, all you can eat. It ain't sounding too good. Girl, we went there. First of all, the inside, very, very nice. I didn't realize they give you a tablet and you just get to clicking and ordering. There are a bunch of runners, like servers, plus two server robots that bring food to your table. And I was like, well, the quality can't be good because, it's a lot going on, right? Mind you, we ordered, it was like, girl, I don't even know if it was 10 minutes later and the food was arriving to the table via the robot and the humans. Like, just plates, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, this is sushi. Like, how was this done so fast, right? Girl, when I say that's some of the best sushi I've never had, it's not the best.
Right.
Had, but it's some of the best. Like, and it was so fresh. Like they had just rolled that whole, it tasted like the greens and stuff in it. Like some of the cucumbers and stuff. Like they had went to the garden out back and picked them hoes up out the ground. They were so fresh. And when I say it's everything on the menu, everything they have on the menu, you can get all you can eat for 2 hours.
Ooh, that
From
sounds amazing.
To dessert, girl.
I would have just handed the tablet back and like, yeah, just bring the menu. Just start from one and go down.
Right. It was a very good. So next time you come, we are definitely going there.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something
not far.
There, you can do something similar on a cruise ship actually too. So I don't know have you been on a cruise ship before?
I have never been on a cruise.
No. Okay. So when you go on the cruise ship, you have two dining options. You can just be casual, go through the buffet line because what's in the dining area and what's on the buffet is the same from what I understand. Okay. I enjoy going to the dining area because I just like it being served to me essentially. Like I like being waited on a little bit, especially after a long day of like being out in the sun, being out and about. I don't want to, when it comes to dinner, like I just want to sit and have them brought out and have courses essentially, and pace myself and all that stuff. But yeah, because when it's a cruise ship and when it comes to the food, it's usually all inclusive. So you get handed a menu and you can just choose whatever you want from it. And you can have the whole thing if you want, or you can just
bring it.
And they just bring it. Yeah. So
I love that.
I love it. Yeah. I like cruises. I like them. I think they're nice. They're a nice experience.
Do want to try to go on a cruise one time. Yeah. I know there was a couple times where my wife and I were looking at them, but we just ended up going on another vacation instead. They do cruises over here.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, I think. Yeah,
I think it's a river somewhere where it runs a pretty deep way through Europe, and you can get on there and get off different places and stuff, or you can fly down south into the Greek islands and all that stuff and do one, or you can go up north to Norway and stuff and sail around Norway. Oof. Maybe one of these days
I was about to say
we'll do something like that. But I don't know if they have like the big like Royal Caribbean, all them type of ships and stuff. I think they're smaller.
Yeah.
But
that would be so fun though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I will say I love going on a cruise with a bunch of people because you can all meet up and do things together, but there's so many other things that you can just do individually, like as a couple or as your friends or something like that. But yeah, I mean, me and Kayla went on a cruise together and we had a lot of fun. So I love it.
And you know what? Since you said that, I think I would want to go with a group of people. So we could meet up, because I know they got a lot of shows and different stuff and like little clubs, and different stuff on the ship. So it's just I be seeing the videos of the people dancing on deck, and I know that I would tap my wife on the shoulder and be like, "Give me that room key. I'm going to the room."
And that is the beauty about going with the group. You get to have that option. Be like, you stay here with them. I'm out. Yes.
Yeah, because I'm not.
I feel you. All right. Yeah. Now we're moving on to my other story. This is also an Am I the Asshole story. It's pretty short.
All right.
So this one is, am I the asshole for telling my daughter if she pays for her sister's college, then I will stop favoring her with my money?
Read that one more time. Am
I the asshole for telling my daughter if she pays for her sister college, then I will stop favoring her sister with my money?
Okay. Okay.
What's your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is, honestly, I need more context, because I'm like, is the older sister rich?
Mm-hmm.
And she's mad that her little sister is getting more money in comparison to her. But I'm like, bitch, you a grown ass woman. But I don't know all this. So I'm really wondering, like, how does this stack up?
Right. Okay. So they are full sisters. They have the same parents and everything. So there's no half or step or anything. I will try to make this as clear as possible. My mother had a fund that was supposed to be for both of the grandchildren. She told me multiple times it was for both of the kids. She also informed the girls that they have money. She passed away unexpectedly. My oldest, Shelly, was the one who was on the fund, so it is legally hers. She didn't share it with her sister Grace, and she has a huge head start in life with it. Due to this money, she has been able to go to college debt-free and is going to buy a house soon. My husband and I have been scrambling to give as much money as possible to Grace since she really got screwed over. Even with all of our help, she'll still need to take out student loans. Grace is working while in college, and she found a student job that gives free housing. The issue is that she needs a car for it. So my husband and I are going to buy her a car because turning down this job will result in a ton of extra debt for her. Shelly found out about us getting the car and is pissed. She is upset with us for favoring Grace and that she never got a car from us. I pointed out she doesn't need help financially at all. We argued for a while and I had enough. I told her that if she pays for her sister college, then I will stop favoring her sister with my money. She called me a jerk and isn't responding.
Wow. Okay. I knew there had to be something somewhere where the older sister has some money.
Yeah.
I'm really wondering. So the money was from the grandparents that was supposed to be split between the two girls?
Yeah. So according to the mother's partner, she had the money together in order to build it up more and was going to split it when the oldest one went to college, but she died before that could happen. So the only person whose name was on it was the oldest daughter.
Okay. So the grandmother.
Yeah. So the grandmother
was holding the money.
Yeah, but instead of keeping it in separate accounts, she had it in one lump sum to build the money up. And then when the oldest went to college, that's when she had planned to split it off so that she could start giving some to the oldest. And then when the youngest went to college, then she would have her portion. But she died before all that could happen. So the only person who was named on it was the oldest.
Okay, because she probably had to have like a certain amount in the account to get a certain percentage rate.
Probably.
To grow faster.
Yeah, so here are just a few comments. So
that's crazy okay, sorry.
It's okay. So she said in the comments, we have discussed it multiple times. She was 17 when she got her inheritance. It had a block so that I couldn't touch it, which was fine because it was supposed to be for the girls. We thought she would be kind and split with her sister. She didn't, and it basically effed up her relationship with our family. As she puts it, it is hers legally and she does not need to share. Our other option would be to fight her claim to it, but we don't have the money for that. She knows we all disapprove of her choice with it, especially since she knows her grandma wanted to share it. She also said that she got almost $500,000. So she said that they will never be able to give Grace half the amount because it would have been around $200 to $230K.
Oh my gosh.
But she has made it clear.
Crazy.
Yeah, she's made it clear to the oldest that she's no longer helping her out in any way financially, and she's not in the will anymore. That everything will go to her husband and Grace, and that. But even with that being said, they don't plan on dying soon. So there's at least another 40 years left before anyone sees any money.
Well, girl, not if your oldest daughter got anything to do with it.
Right. I mean, it It doesn't even matter, because even if they do pass away, I mean, everything at this point
at this point, she knows she ain't getting nothing.
Yeah, she's not getting anything.
So she don't care. She just wants you out of here, bitch.
Yeah.
Because you done fucked her over as far as she's concerned. That is very wild to me. People really do act funny when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know what it is about money. Look at what money will make a bitch do. Like, that saying is so true. Money switches people up. And I really don't see. I could see, like, in a friend group how it would.
Yeah.
Because maybe you can do things that your friends can't.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not trying to be paying for your friends to do the fun shit that you want to do all the time because it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got to curate a new friend group around your tax bracket.
Yeah.
So you can do the things that you want to do, you know. I can see that. But girl, your family, your sister, like, come on. That was more than enough money to split and still be able to do what you wanted to do. You would have flew through college just fine. I mean, depending on where you went to college.
Right.
Because
but even
you may have spent half of that just on college, depending on where you went, if it was private or not. But
yeah, you would have had a good college, and at the very least, you would have had a very decent amount of a down payment for a good house.
Yeah, like you would have been Gucci.
Yes.
Yo shit, you know. Hopefully there wasn't a divorce, because I mean that would ruin everything. You know what I'm saying? But that would have been enough for you to get through college, put, you know, a nice down payment on a home, and have a little bit left over to start a family. You know, your children, at least when they're young, probably wouldn't have to worry about nothing for a while. You know,
right?
That money ain't gonna last forever. Especially if you got a job, then you ain't even really got to spend that money. You can put that money up somewhere and let it grow again. You know?
Yeah.
The fact that you would do your sister like that is evil. That's the plain and simple. It's evil. I applaud the parents for, you know, supplementing what the sister lost.
Or trying to.
Yeah, because I mean, who's gonna get up to giving their kids $230,000? Like, come on, you know, they don't make that jointly in a year, more than likely. So I'm with the parents 100%. Y'all ain't doing that wrong. Y'all are trying to help your daughter out the best you can, because her fuck ass sister, like, the least you can do. Okay, if you want to take all the money, at least help your sister out,
right?
You know, every now and then. Right. You got it. We all know you got it because you took it. So
exactly.
You know, I can't believe.
I'll never understand. It sounds like they had a good relationship from the story. I mean, granted, this is from the mother's perspective, but I'm with you. I never understand how, especially if you have a generally good relationship with your family. I mean, you took this money, but you essentially lost your family. You're lucky they're even still speaking to you, because this would have been something that we would have not had any contact with, period. For you to have been that selfish. Like, there was a very clear indication that this was supposed to be split. Technically, it's in your name legally, but it was not supposed to just be yours. Something unexpected happened, and that's the only reason why you got it. You got it on a technicality, technically. But you're willing to risk your relationship with your family. You know, it just shows that your family didn't mean as much to you as you had meant to them, I guess.
For real.
Yeah.
And that's a damn sociopath. Like,
and so now you're trying, I think probably what's happening is that you've been the bad one ever since this money came in, and now you see this as an opportunity to try to play victim, and it's not working in your favor. So, you know, you're trying to
how dare you come ask me for money when you literally took it all. Like,
right.
$500,000.
Right.
$500,000 almost.
I know.
And you coming to ask me for. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just can't imagine. Like, me and my mom and everything, we always talk about, like, oh, if we ever win the lottery one day, like, what we would do and blah, blah, blah. And we're very similar in it. It's like, there's a lot of family members and friends that we would be uplifting with us, and I always said, if I ever, made enough money where I was rich, like, I would be definitely one of those people who didn't live, like, I just can't imagine wasting my money on like multiple sets of cars or a huge mansion. Like, just give me a house that's, fairly decent, where I can have a couple of guests over every once in a while. It's in a nice, safe neighborhood, and I'm good. Like, it doesn't have to be acres and acres. Shoot, I always tell my mom, we joke, I was like, I would love to build like a family community where we each have like our own like small, tiny type houses, and like we have communal like things, so we're like separate, but we're living very, very close and near each other. Or well, who is it? Like Mr. Beast, I think there was an interview a couple of weeks or a couple months ago where they were talking about how he had literally bought a whole cul-de-sac, and his family and friends were moving on to that cul-de-sac, and people were like, and I'm like, sounds like a dream to me. Like, all my friends and family are close to me. Great. Yeah. I'd love to be able to do something like that.
There are families that there's a family where I'm from that is, pretty prominent family, and they have that. They have a whole swath of land, and generations of their family just live on this one long ass road. Every house on that road, all the way down to the end, is where the grandparents lived at. I don't know if they're still with us, but lived at. And all of their children, their children's children, built their houses down that road, and they all own their land.
I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of how the Kardashians live. I couldn't get their name out. The Kardashians live. I mean, granted, theirs are on a much larger scale than I would ever imagine. But if you look on an aerial view of where all of them live, they all live within either right next to each other or within a mile or so, or a half a mile or so. I think someone even mentioned, like, there's episodes where it's like, oh, I'm going to so-and-so's house, and they just walk out their back door and walk across the lawn, and they go into the other person's house. So I
ain't gonna hold you. Close to them niggas. Right.
I was about to say,
distance.
It does depend on, the dynamics. I always joke with my mom that if nothing else, one day we'll get a house that has like a bridge that connects us. So we'll still always be near each other or something like that.
Did you hear that story? It was a few years ago of that husband and wife that bought their houses beside each other and built a bridge, a sky bridge to their houses. It was I believe it was a couple of years ago of a husband and wife that had built a sky bridge between their houses because they wanted their own separate homes.
Well, I stayed in an Airbnb that was similar in that style. When I had to film up way past like Richmond and stuff like that, I decided to rent a room somewhere. And I was confused by the listing because there was like a couple of different listings, but they looked like the same house. So I was very confused. So I ended up booking one room. When I got there, that's when they were like, oh yeah, like, this house is technically two houses. She was like, the smaller portion is where my mother and father-in-law live. And then there's a little bridge hallway thing that I don't even want to say, like inside there's like a little hallway that connects them, but on the outside it looks like one big house. Like it's like a wraparound deck porch thing going on.
Okay.
So, but it is technically two separate. And so, you have one side where it's, it's like a 2-bedroom with a kitchen and living room and all that stuff. And then the other one, it's a bigger area because it's the daughter, her husband, and their kids. I think they had like 3 kids. And they had everything, but like their yard was just one yard. They had a pool and everything like that. But yeah, it was really nice. It was a really nice setup. And I was like, yeah, I could see. I want to do something like that. That way, when I get tired of my kids, I can just open up the door and be like, go to grandma's. Go to Nana's. Go. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Close the door.
That would be really nice to have like a house with some type of attached, like a little annex or something. Not a little one, but
Yeah.
What do they call it? In-law
suite or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. for people to come over because y'all ain't got to stay in my house.
Exactly.
You know, go. Thank you for coming to dinner. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep, you leave right out the side door.
That door.
Yep. And head right on down to your house. Yeah. While you're staying here. Yeah. Yep. I'll see you in the morning. How about that? Yeah.
See you for breakfast.
Yeah. Because one thing I don't like, and one reason, you know me, I ain't staying over nobody's house.
Yeah.
I don't care if I've been out all night. Crystal know me. I'm going home. I don't like staying because I want to wake up in my own space. You know, I like to take my time in the morning. I be crusty eyed and stink breath. I don't want nobody around me that time in the morning. You know, unless I'm like going on a trip or something. But
that's why I don't really like having to get a room type Airbnb. It's one thing if the room is still a very much separate space, then that's fine. But when I have just like in order to get to the room, I have to go through their front door and up their stairs, and then the room's right there. Like, I don't like doing that. I just, even no matter how nice the people are, I always feel like I'm invading someone's space. And in some way, I guess I feel like my space is a little invaded too, because I have to stay in this room. I don't get to, I mean, I don't feel like I can just be out and wandering, even though they're like, oh, you can come downstairs and you can go in the kitchen and you can be in the living room. I'm not being comfortable in that space. I'm going to stay in my room as if it's a hotel room, except it's smaller, probably. Yeah. So I don't like doing just rooms in a big house, because especially with my work schedule, because more than likely I'm coming in either very, very, very late or I'm leaving very, very, very early. So it's kind of a disruption a little bit. So
right. And I don't want to be around y'all. Like, I don't know what y'all morning routine is and stuff. I don't want to see y'all in y'all pajamas. That's too much me and you.
It's too much for strangers. Yeah.
And what bathroom am I using? I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I agree.
We getting a little too familiar.
I like the Airbnb that I stayed at when I came to visit you and your wife, because it was like it was technically the basement, but like the room was really big. It was very spacious. I didn't mind staying in there when I had COVID, and getting my rest and being there. And she was so lovely, especially because for like $2 or something like that, she made this whole breakfast spread. I could just request it, and then she would come down and bring it to me. And I remember I was sending you pictures like, look at my breakfast.
Like, it was nice. It was really nice.
Amazing.
But that was a really good setup, because you didn't even have to go in the house. Like, you just went down the little side path, down the steps, and you was in there.
Yep.
And they had a bathroom and everything down there too, right?
Yep, they had a bathroom. There was another room down there. I only had a guest, because I stayed there for like 2 or 3 nights or something like that. And I think only one of the nights there was another guest there. But we didn't really have to interact. Like, we never saw each other going to the bathroom or anything like that. So it was not a bad setup at all. But for the most part, I was by myself. And yeah, it was I really liked it. I didn't have to interact with them if I didn't want to. But she was so nice. And yeah, I loved the breakfast that I got. Just kept making, hey, look at what I got. This was like $2.
Shout out to her. She did that. Like,
she was so nice.
I don't even eat breakfast, and she made me want to come in there. Excuse me, man. I want to join her this morning. Can I throw you these couple crowns? And
Can I also have that? I mean,
can I get one of them?
I mean, it was vegetables. It was like eggs. It was the freshest bread. It was chocolate. Like everything from the food group that you can think of. It was their cheese, crackers, all that stuff.
Yeah, the Danes love a piece of something sweet with every meal. Honestly, like they finna give you a little piece of chocolate or something.
I know.
No matter what time of the day you come over there.
Even when we stayed in when I stayed in the cabin, and when we went to Sweden and we stayed in that hotel, like the breakfast and everything like that, there was always a dessert table. It didn't matter what time it was. I was like, okay.
You finna have pastries, Nutellas, little pieces of chocolate. You can say you finna get you a little something sweet with your meal. Well, Crystal, thank you. Yeah, that was your story, right?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that.
That was my story. That was me. Thank me.
We've been off on a tangent so long, I forgot who turned it was. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Crystal, and thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Tea and Crystals podcast. If you like what you heard, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. I actually just checked that today, Crystal, and y'all are doing it. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for your 5-star reviews. They are very much appreciated, and they are very, very, very much needed for our little podcast. If you like what you saw, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, and share on YouTube. If you have any questions, comments, or you would like to share your own story with us, there's one in the pipeline. I saw it, Crystal. Yeah, one in the pipeline. Y'all better share y'all stories. We are very much willing to tell your business. So go ahead and send us to us at teaandcrystal@gmail.com. That's teaandcrystal@gmail.com. You can also send it to us in our DMs on all of our social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook by searching Tea and Crystals Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Tea and Crystals Podcast and on Instagram at Tea and Crystals Pod. Now, Crystal, is there anything you want to say to the people before we get the hell up out of her?
Yeah, we have been continuously discussing the possibility of moving our timeline in terms of when the episodes drops and all that stuff. Yeah. It's very actively being discussed. We will still probably do some sort of poll, maybe on some of our socials to get a broader number of people who prefer certain days, but continue leaving them in the comments. We are very much taking them into account. We appreciate it so much. And yeah, just be on the lookout for that. We'll obviously keep you informed for if and when that ends up happening. But thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys next week.
All
Bye.
Right. Bye, y'all.